Hare Krishna, we are continuing to read the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we read in the following manner. We read chapter of Krishna book, then we read appropriate chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam with Srila Prabhupada's purports, commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti, Srila Jiva Goswami, and Srila Sanatana Goswami whenever is available. Then we read Ananda Vrindavan Champu and Gopal Champu if the pastime from these books, which practically cover again the whole Krishna in Vrindavan situation, correspond to the chapters which we are reading. Okay, so we already read the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Please check the videos before. First chapter of Krishna book, an introduction to Krishna book. Then we did the whole summary of the 10th canto by Srila Prabhupada, and today we arrive at the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have a chapter summary. So before we start that, please, if you like this kind of content, like this video, subscribe to the channel, it would be wonderful, and it will help the channel very much. Hope you will find it enjoyable and relishable and uplifting. Mostly I am reading from the scripture, and whatever I feel inspired to reflect or reiterate certain point, that's what I do. So it's mostly almost like an audiobook, but with some occasional or maybe sometimes not so occasional insertions of thoughts of your humble servant. Jai. So let's start. Om Gyananti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangumlam Gajagirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Paritanam Pavanipyo Vaishnavipyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Antilamine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashitya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna, introduction. So first we have chapter summary. So what I will be doing is that I would be reading the Sanskrit verse of Bhagavatam, but then in the commentaries, especially in commentaries of Acharyas, also a lot of Sanskrit verses. Most of them I will be just reading I will be avoiding Sanskrit and just reading the translation. But each verse of Bhagavatam, it's a sacred sound vibration. I just want to put it in. And what I think that as we have just the coming attraction, as we have Lord Chaitanya's appearance day coming soon, maybe 2 weeks before that, we'll start reading Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, to get ourselves, primarily I will get myself a little bit more absorbed and meditating on the Lord, and if it will help you along the way, wonderful. I don't know how many will be there, but I want to do it as a service to all the devotees who watch, and for my own purification with your blessings. Haribol. So, chapter summary, chapter 1, the advent of Lord Krishna. The summary of the first chapter is as follows. This chapter describes how Kamsa, frightened by hearing an omen about his being killed by the 8th son of Devaki, killed Devaki's son one after another. When Shukadeva Goswami finished describing the dynasty of Yadav, as well as the dynasties of Moon God and Sun God, Maharaj Parikshit requested him to describe Lord Krishna, who appeared with Baladeva in the Yadu dynasty, and how Krishna performed his activities within this world. Krishna is transcendental, the king said, and therefore, to understand his activities, it is occupation of liberated persons. Hearing of Krishna Lila is the boat by which to achieve the ultimate goal of life, except for an animal killer or one who is following a policy of suicide. Every intelligent person must strive to understand Krishna and his activities. Krishna was the only worshipable deity for the Pandavas when Maharaja Parikshit was in the womb of his mother, Uttara. Krishna saved him from the attack of the Brahma Shastra. Now, Maharaja Parikshit asked Shukadeva Goswami how his lordship, Baladeva, the son of Rahini, could have appeared in the womb of Devaki. Why did Krishna transfer himself from Mathura to Vrindavan? King Parikshit asked, and how did he live there with his family members? What did Krishna do in Mathura and Vrindavan, and why did he kill his maternal uncle Kamsa? For how many years did Krishna reside in Dwaraka, and how many queens did he have? Maharaj Parikshit asked Shukadeva Goswami all these questions. He also requested Shukadeva Goswami to describe other activities of Krishna about which he could not inquire. When Shukadeva Goswami began to speak about Krishna consciousness, Maharaja Parikshit forgot the fatigue brought by his fasting. Enthusiastic to describe Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami said, like the water of the Ganges, descriptions of the activities of Krishna can purify the entire universe. The speaker, the inquirer, and the audience all become purified. Once, when the entire world was overburdened by the increasing military power of demons in the form of kings, Mother Earth assumed the shape of a cow and approached Lord Brahma for relief. Sympathetic to Mother Earth's lamentation, Brahma, accompanied by Lord Shiva and other demigods, stood the cow-shaped Mother Earth to the shore of Milk Ocean, where he offered prayers to please Lord Vishnu, who lay there on the island in transcendental ecstasy. Brahma thereafter understood the advice of Mahavishnu, who informed him that he would appear on the surface of the earth to mitigate the burden created by the demons. The demigods, along with their wives, should appear there as associates of Lord Krishna in the family of Yadav, to increase the sons and grandsons in that dynasty. By the will of the Lord Krishna, Anantadeva would appear first as Balaram, and Krishna's potency, Yogamaya, would also appear. Brahma informed Mother Earth about all this, and then he returned to his own abode. After marrying Devaki, Vasudeva was returning home with her on a chariot driven by Kamsa, her brother, when an ominous voice addressed Kamsa, warning him that Devaki's eighth son would kill him. Upon hearing this omen, Kamsa was immediately ready to kill Devaki, but Vasudeva diplomatically began to instruct him. Vasudeva said that it would not be good for Kamsa to kill his younger sister, especially at the time of her marriage. Anyone who possesses a material body must die. Vasudeva advised him. Every living entity lives in a body for some time and then transmigrates to another body, but one is unfortunately misled into accepting the body as the soul. If a person under this mistaken conception wants to kill another body, he is condemned as hellish. Because Kamsa was not satisfied by Vasudeva's instructions, Vasudeva devised a plan. He offered to bring Kamsa all of Devaki's children so that Kamsa could kill them. Why then should Kamsa kill Devaki now? Kamsa was satisfied by this proposal. In due course of time, when Devaki gave birth to a child, Vasudeva brought the newborn baby to Kamsa, who, upon seeing Vasudeva's magnanimity, was struck with wonder. When Vasudeva gave Kamsa the child, Kamsa, showing some intelligence, said that since he was to be killed by the eighth child, why should he kill the first? Also, Vasudeva did not trust him. Kamsa requested Vasudeva to take the child back. Later, however, after Narada approached Kamsa and disclosed to him that the demigods were appearing in the Yadu and Vrishni dynasties and conspiring to kill him, Kamsa decided to kill all the children born of these families, he also decided that any child born from the womb of Devaki must be killed. Thus he arrested and imprisoned both Devaki and Vasudeva and killed 6 of their sons, one after another. Narada had also informed Kamsa that in his previous birth, Kamsa was Kalanemi, a demon killed by Vishnu. Consequently, Kamsa became a great enemy to all the descendants of Yadu Vamsha, the Yadu dynasty. He even arrested and imprisoned his own father, Ugrasena, for Kamsa wanted to enjoy the kingdom alone. Krishna has 3-fold pastimes, the Vraja Lila, Mathura Lila, and Dwaraka Lila. As already mentioned in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are 90 chapters which describe all these Leelas. The first 4 chapters describe Brahma's prayers for the relief of the earth's burden. And they also describe the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chapter 5 through 39 recount Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. The 40th chapter describes how Krishna enjoyed the water of the Yamuna and how Akrura offered prayers. Chapter 41 through 51, 11 chapters tell of Krishna's pastime in Adhura. And chapters 52 through 90, 39 chapters relate Krishna's pastimes in Dwaraka. So you see, Srila Prabhupada for us gave a bird view, the whole map, though he summarized the whole 90 chapters in his Canto summary, as we read the previous day. Here he says exactly that first 4 chapters are dedicated to the prayers of Lord Brahma, then 5th to 39 are the pastimes of Vrindavan, 40th chapter is Akrura's prayers, and 41 through 51 their pastimes in Mathura, and 52 through 90 pastimes of Lord in Dwaraka. Chapters 29 through 33 describe Krishna dancing with the gopis, known as Rasa Lila. Therefore, these 5 chapters are known as Rasa Panchadhyaya. The 47th chapter of the 10th canto is a description known as the Brahmara Gita. And this is especially rasa-imbued chapters, which describe the highest love of gopis to Krishna. And the chapter, the 47th chapter, Brahmara Gita, is the complete madness of love separation of Srimati Radharani. Okay, so the text 1. Shirajo vacha kathito vamsha vistaro bhagavata soma suryayo rajyam chobhaya vamshyanam charitam paramadbhutam. King Parikshit said, "My dear Lord, you have elaborately described the dynasties of both the moon god and the sun god with the exalted and wonderful characters of their kings." Prophet of Srila Prabhupada. At the end of the 9th canto, 24th chapter, Shukadeva Goswami summarized the activities of Krishna. He spoke how Krishna had personally appeared to reduce the burden of the earth, and how he had manifested his pastimes as householder, and how, soon after his birth, he transferred himself to his Vraja Bhumi Lila. Parikshit Maharaj, being naturally a devotee of Krishna, wanted to hear more about Lord Krishna. Therefore, to encourage Shukadeva Goswami to continue speaking about Krishna and give further details, he thanks Shukadeva Goswami for having described the activities of Krishna in brief. Shukadeva Goswami had said, okay, as I said, we will skip Sanskrit. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, known as Lila Purushottama, appeared as the son of Vasudeva, but immediately left his father's home and went to Vrindavan to expand his loving relationship with his confidential devotees. In Vrindavan, the Lord killed many demons, and afterward he returned to Dwaraka. where according to Vedic principles he married many wives who were the best of women, begot through them hundreds of sons, and performed sacrifices for his own worship to establish the principles of household life. Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 24-36. The Yadu dynasty belonged to the family descending from Soma, the moon god, although the planetary systems are so arranged that the sun comes first before the moon. Parikshit Maharaj gave more respect to the dynasty of moon god, the Soma Vamsha, because in the Yadava dynasty, descending from moon, Krishna had appeared. From Soma, right. There are two different Kshatriya families of the royal order, one descending from the king of the moon planet and the other descending from the king of the sun. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears, he generally appears in a Kshatriya family because he comes to establish religious principles and the life of righteousness. According to the Vedic system, the Kshatriya family is a protector of human race. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Ramachandra, he appeared in the Surya Vamsha, the family descending from the sun god. And when he appeared as Lord Krishna, he did so in the Yadu dynasty or Yadu Vamsha, whose descent was from the moon god. In the 9th canto, 21st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a long list of the kings of the Yadu Vamsha. All the kings in both Soma Vamsha and Surya Vamsha were great and powerful, and Maharaja Parikshit praised them very highly. Nonetheless, he wanted to hear more about Soma Vamsha because that was the dynasty in which Krishna had appeared. The supreme abode of the Personality of Godhead Krishna is described in Brahma Samhita as the abode of Chintamani. Chintamani prakara sadmasu kalpa vriksha laksha vriteshu surabhir abhipalayanta. Brahma Samhita 5.29. The Vrindavan Dham on this earth is a replica of the same abode, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 8.20. In the spiritual sky there is another eternal nature transcendental to manifested and unmanifested matter. The manifested world can be seen in the form of many stars and planets such as the sun and moon, but beyond this is the unmanifested, which is imperceptible to those who are embodied. And beyond this unmanifested matter is a spiritual kingdom, which is described in Bhagavad Gita as supreme and eternal. That kingdom is never annihilated, although material nature is subject to repeated creation and annihilation. That spiritual nature remains as it is eternally. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that spiritual nature, the spiritual world, is described as Vrindavana, Goloka Vrindavana, or Brajadama. The elaborate description of the above-mentioned shloka from the 9th canto, Jato Gatah Pritir Grihat, 9:24-66, will be found here in the 10th canto. So that was like a seed shloka, and the elaborate description is here in 10th canto. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In order to increase the speaker's enthusiasm to speak about the most crucial topics, Parikshit praises the previous description in the Bhagavatam. Because Chandra is the grandson of Brahma, because Chandra is his Amsha, and because he is the deity of the mind, and because Krishna appeared in this dynasty, Chandra is mentioned before Surya, though the usual order would place Surya first. Though the wonderful activities of Swayambhuva and his dynasty were related in the 4th canto, they did not culminate in sweetness. With Krishna of the Moon dynasty and Rama of the Sun dynasty, sweetness was finally attained. The discussion of these dynasties became very prominent. So gradually Srimad Bhagavatam was progressing, and in 9th canto, Lord Ramachandra's pastime was described. And it was sweet, but now the 10th canto is the supremely sweet. And so the progression of sweetness in discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam is culminated here in the 10th canto, and of course it will be culminated in the Rasa Panchadhyaya, the 5 central chapters of 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the Rasa Lila, 29 through 33. Jiva Goswami, I surrender to Madnagapala, Govinda, King of Vrindavan, who is anxious to give mercy to the wretched. I offer respect to the Supreme Lord Krishna Chaitanya, the ocean of mercy, who appeared in Bengal to spread Prema Bhakti. I offer respect to Madhava Puri along with his disciples. By him, the desired tree of Krishna Bhakti was sown among the people. I offer respect to Sridhar Swami, the sole protector of Bhakti, who gave a systematic commentary for the purpose of perfecting Bhakti. I offer respect to Sarvabhauma, Vidyavachaspati Bhattacharya, ornamented with all knowledge, and who was the ornament of Bengal. So Srila Goswami immediately offers respect to Lord Chaitanya, to Madhavendra Puri as a seed from which the whole Bhakti tree of Lord Chaitanya was fructified, to Sridhar Swami, who is the original commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is a great scholar of Bengal. I don't know how he is connected to this glorification line, but he mentions him as well. The word Shri is added to Raja to indicate the great prema of Parikshit at the beginning of recitation of Krishna's pastimes. It is conjugated as Shri Rajaha rather than Shri Raja as above, optionally. So yeah, one thing is that there would be a lot of different Sanskrit root, Sanskrit origin of words explanation, and something definitely flies above my head. I assume will fly above some of your heads as well. So we will see how we go about it, but definitely we will try to absorb as much as we can in the Acharya's commentaries. But what is interesting, Srila Prabhupada made it so simple for us to understand. Why we go to Acharya's commentaries is that, especially in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentaries, there's a lot of extra details of Lila, which is especially sweet. But there's also a lot of scholarship, which is for those who are, simple devotees, laymen, not very scholarly, don't have such a scholarly inclination, might be difficult. So we'll see how we go about it, but it's a journey I'm willing to take. Of course, I read this before, and I know what we're up against, but we will deal with it as it comes. The king makes this request to inspire Shukadeva and give him joy by showing eagerness to hear in detail the stories about Krishna, the root of all stories. You have related the dynasties in detail, listing the sons and grandsons, not with the sole intention of telling about the birth and lives of those individuals. He uses bhavata, bayu, to show respect. He places the word moon before sun to indicate the importance of Krishna's dynasty. Now, you see several times, several commentators, they put this emphasis that usually sun should come before moon, and as Srila Prabhupada says, moon is further than the sun, right? So, every commentary said that the moon should be before sun, so the sun should be before moon, but he places moon before sun to indicate the importance of Krishna's dynasty. You have also related the heroic deeds of the members of both dynasties. There were most astonishing deeds. For instance, the marriage of Pururava to Urvashi and Puranjana with his Indravaha pastimes. Though you related the exploits of the dynasty of Swayambhuva Manu and others, starting in the third canto, the exploits of Sun and Moon dynasties are most astonishing, for in those dynasties have appeared Ramachandra and Krishna. Again, ninth canto some part of it described the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, and then 10th canto, of course, dedicated solely to Krishna's pastimes. Sanatana Goswami. I surrender to Madna Gopala Govinda, King of Vrindavan, who is anxious to give mercy to the wretched. Offer respects to Supreme Lord Krishna Chaitanya, the ocean of mercy, who appeared in Bengal to spread Prema Bhakti. Offer respect to Madhava Puri along with his disciples. By him the desired tree of Krishna Bhakti was sown among the people. I offer respect to Sridhar Swami, the sole protector of Bhakti, who gave a systematic commentary for the purpose of perfecting Bhakti. I offer respect to Sarvabhauma Vidyalva Chaspati Bhattacharya, ornamented with all knowledge, and who was the ornament of Bengal. So we can see that the commentary of Sanatana Goswami beginning of it was completely replicated by Jiva Goswami, and then Jiva Goswami expanded. And we will see often something like this happen, but it just allows us to focus on some particular point more deeply. Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami sometimes would use Sanatana Goswami's commentary practically verbatim, and then he would just add something. But in our rendition, Sanatana Goswami's commentary goes after Jiva Goswami's commentary, in the kind of in the book which I use, or ebook which I use, but Sanatana Goswami's commentary actually is previous to Jiva Goswami, but we actually all the commentaries in a reverse order, right? We have Srila Prabhupada, the latest one, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is before Prabhupada but after Jiva Goswami, and then we have Jiva Goswami, which before Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but after Srila Sanatana Goswami. So we go from the most recent commentary to the latest one. Sorry, to the oldest one. Okay, text 2. Yadoscha dharma shilasya Nitara muni sattama tatram shena vatri tirnasya vishnor viryani shamsana. O best of munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu, who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will, kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Baladeva, his plenary expansion. Purport. The Brahma Samhita 5.1 explains that Krishna is the origin of the Vishnu Tattva. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha. Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So obviously the Sanskrit verses which we all heard many times, we don't need to skip. We'll skip only those which I personally see for the first time, or maybe now for the second time, and it's not something which immediately invokes some familiarity, either in me or in listeners, or majority of the listeners, let's say. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Yasyai kanishvasita kala matam valambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanata Vishnur mahansa ihayasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Brahmanas, the heads of the innumerable universes, live only for the duration of one breath of Mahavishnu. I worship Govinda, the original Lord, of whom Mahavishnu is but a portion of a plenary portion. Brahma Samhita 5.48. Govinda, Krishna, is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Even Lord Mahavishnu, who by his breathing creates many millions upon millions of universes, is Lord Krishna's Kala Vishesha, or plenary portion of a plenary portion. Mahavishnu is a plenary expansion of Sankarshan, who is a plenary expansion of Narayana. Narayana is a plenary expansion of the Chaturvyuha, and Chaturvyuha are plenary expansions of Baladeva, the first manifestation of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna appeared with Baladeva, all the Vishnu Tattvas appeared with him. So we've heard about this progression when we read on Nityananda Trayodashi, the glories of Lord Nityananda, and in the reverse progression, right? That Nityananda is not different from Balaram, then Chaturvyuha, and Narayana, Sankarsana, Mahavishnu, like that. Maharaj Parikshit requested Shukadeva Goswami to describe Krishna and his glorious activities. Another meaning may be derived from this verse as follows. Although Shukadeva Goswami was the greatest Muni, he could describe Krishna only partially, Amshana, for no one can describe Krishna fully. It is said that Anantadeva has thousands of heads, but although he tries to describe Krishna with thousands of tongues, his descriptions are still incomplete. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You have also previously described the pious nature of Yadu. Though Yadu disobeyed his father's order because of his pure devotion, his exalted character is praised in the 9th and 11th cantos. Parikshit addressed Shukadeva as the king of the Munis, Muni Sattama, because as a Muni he is completely knowledgeable, and as a devotee, Sat. He is the chief since he established the supreme position of Bhakti. Please describe the exploits, Viryani, of he who has appeared, Avatiranasya, of that person whose Amsha is Vishnu in Vaikuntha. Another meaning is, please describe the exploits partially, Amshana, since it is impossible to describe the Lord's pastimes completely. Srila Jiva Goswami. You have also described the details of Yadu dynasty and the astonishing activities of its king to a great degree, since Yadu was filled with bhakti, dharma shilasya. Dharma means bhakti because it is said, dharmo mad bhakti krit prokta. Dharma means bhakti to me, Srimad Bhagavatam 11:19-27. The highest, yeah? Savaipam Paro Dharma. The highest dharma is Yatho Bhakti Hokshaji, the bhakti. This is also in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto, but also it's in the 11th canto, as we see here, 19th chapter, 27th verse. Yadu's steady bhakti is described in the 11th canto. Kunti has also said, Yadoh Priyasyan Vavaye, you have taken birth to please King Yadu, one of your great dearest devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.32. Parikshit particularly mentions Yadu because his dynasty became the best by appearance of Krishna, and he has in mind many questions concerning Krishna. He addresses Shukadeva as the best of sages. He is a devotee of the Lord, and better than that, he is absorbed in Krishna. Best of all, he has intense prema at the lotus feet of Krishna. He thus indicates Shukadeva's high qualification for what he spoke previously and for what he will speak in the upcoming chapters. The second line of the verse states Parikshit's desire. Please describe to us the activities of Krishna, Vishnu, who appeared in this world from his place known as Goloka. In Yadu dynasty, Tatra, since he was a great devotee, Sridhar Swami explains that the word Amshana, Krishna is an expansion of Vishnu, has been used for the common people in the assembly. The Gita 9.25 says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritaha. Covered by my Maya, I do not reveal myself to all people. The phrase can also mean he appeared with a nature not easily understood by all. Or it can mean he appeared alone with Balaram, his Amsha. Such meaning must be given because otherwise there is a contradiction. to other statements in Bhagavatam. Darshayam asha lokam svam gopanam tamasah param. Krishna revealed to the coward man his abode, which is beyond material darkness. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:28-14. Krishnam chatatra chanodibhih stuyam manam su vismitaha. They were amazed to see Krishna there, surrounded by personified Vedas, who were offering him prayers. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:28-17. Also, of course, there are the words Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, which will be explained in detail later. Brahma also says, okay, this is long. I watched the Supreme actually not, wait. Galok kanamini jadamni talechatasya. Devi Mahesha Hari Dharma Shuteshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitaschayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Govinda, by whom respective powers are given to the abodes of Durga, Shiva and Vishnu, which are situated below his own planet of Goloka. Brahma Samhita 5:43. Ramadi Murtishu Kalani Amena Tishta Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kinto Krishnat Swayam Samabhavat Paramah Puman Yoga Govinda Madipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who, though appearing in the world in eternal forms such as Rama and Nrisimha, with their characteristic powers, also appears personally in the supreme form of Krishna with the most attractive pastimes. Brahma Samhita 5:39. These verses defeat all doubts. There are other verses as well. The word Vishnu is used to indicate Krishna in this verse because it indicates that he at the highest position of pervasion. Vishnu means a pervader. Please describe with excellence Samsha, as if in the verse to praise the gratefully powerful activities of Krishna. This statement hints at the supremely astonishing nature of Krishna's activities among the activities of all forms of the Lord. The word na, us, is used to the plural out of respect, with great desire to hear, or out of consideration of other people listening, or it can indicate humility to receive mercy. The word na can also modify Vishnu, indicating Krishna belonging to us Pandavas. This would indicate his devotion to Krishna and his great desire to hear about his activities. Also to this point, again, when we go back to Chaitanya Charitamrita, the chapter which, the 5th chapter, the glories of Lord Nityananda, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami mentions there that Lord Kshirodakashaya Vishnu is the source of all incarnation, or the via medium through which all the incarnation come in here to the earth. So even Krishna kind of, quote unquote, coming through him, but he's just it's like a gateway through which Krishna decides, or other avatars of Krishna decides to appear. It's designed in this way. It doesn't have to be this way, but designed this way. So that's why, of course, this is my expansion on the topic when Krishna is mentioned here as Amsha of Vishnu, is that in this sense, it also can be taken like that, that he kind of mentioned as Amsha because he appeared as through Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Okay. So I think let's do one more verse and we'll wrap it up for today. The 3rd verse. Avatirya yadorvamshe bhagavan bhuta bhavanah kritavan yani vishatma tani novada vistarat. The Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, the cause of all cosmic manifestation, appeared in the dynasty of Yadu. Please tell me elaborately about his glorious activities and character from the beginning to the end of his life. In this purport of Srila Prabhupada, in this verse, the word Kritavan Yani indicates that all the different activities of Krishna performed while present on earth are beneficial to human society. If religionists, philosophers, and people in general simply hear the activities of Krishna, they will be liberated. We have described several times that there are two kinds of Krishna Katha represented by Bhagavad Gita, spoken personally by Krishna about himself, and Srimad Bhagavatam, spoken by Shukadeva Goswami about the glories of Krishna. Anyone who becomes even slightly interested in Krishna Katha is liberated. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Rajet. Srimad Bhagavatam 12:3-51. Simply by chanting or repeating Krishna Katha, one is liberated from the contamination of Kali Yuga. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised, Yarede Katarakaha Krishna Upadesh, Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 7:128. This is the mission of Krishna consciousness, to hear about Krishna and thus be liberated from the material bondage. So, in a way, we are following the mission of Krishna consciousness. We're hearing about Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas, and we're fulfilling the mission of Krishna consciousness. Haribol. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Previously, you described very briefly how Krishna was taken from the prison of Vraja, but you could not describe everything in that description. O Muni, you described it only in 2 verses. Now I praise that you describe this incident in many verses. Krishna, and he did, he really described it. No? Krishna is the one who descends to immerse the jivas, bhuta, in prema, bhuta bhavana, causing bhava for the living entities. Other verses in Srimad Bhagavatam support this. Nrilokam Ramayama Sha Murtya Sarvanga Ramaya. He gave pleasure to the mankind through his beautiful form. Avitripta Drisham Nrinam. Srimad Bhagavatam 9:24-64. Mankind was unsatisfied after tasting his sweetness. They developed a desire continuously taste. Svamurtya Lokalavanya, etc. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:1-6. The sweetness of Krishna's beauty stills the function of all the senses. They no longer desire any other form. Drowning them in the ocean of his beauty, he gives them prema. He is called Vishvatma, soul of the universe, or Paramatma, because he is the object of love rather than the body of the jiva. This is explained in Brahma prayers 10:14. Please explain extensively, Vistarat, since my intelligence is slow to grasp the subject. If Parikshit Maharaj says that his intelligence is slow, we better keep silent. Still we are trying, right? And then Acharyas help us by expanding on the expansion of Srila Shukadeva Goswami, Jiva Goswami. But all his activities are most astonishing. Then describe all of those activities. This verse indicates the purpose of the Lord. Bhagavan, full of all powers, is a protector of all beings. By his mercy, Bhuta Bhavana. He is benefactor of all, Vishvatma, by his very nature, because he alone supports and inspires everyone with his Shakti of consciousness and other factors. This also means that as the highest form, he is the ultimate form of prema. Therefore, you should glorify all his activities, whatever, yani, in great detail to bring. You glorify all of his activities in great detail to bring out this purpose. Do not summarize them as previously. So don't tell me in 2 verses. Describe me in a great detail. Though it is impossible to describe all the details, he requests this out of great eagerness. Okay, so that would be all for today. And we'll continue with the verse 4, but we will not continue tomorrow because tomorrow is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati appearance day and Srila Purushottam Thakur's disappearance day, and we will try to speak on both of them tomorrow. But and then we continue for a few more days with Srimad Bhagavatam before we switch to Chaitanya Charitamrita in the light of Gaura Purnima. So far, so good. We did, yesterday we had to skip because it was many program with His Holiness Indradyumna Swami. He left today, unfortunately. It was amazing. He created amazing atmosphere here in Mayapur, and we are very grateful for him and his Katha, his amazing, mind-blowing kirtans, and his ability to drown all of the devotees in complete ocean of bliss. He's definitely very, very empowered to do so. Okay, thank you very much for being with us so far. Please, again, like this video if you made so far, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And I'll see you tomorrow. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Haribol.